Have you ever started with a story and then realized that you're never going to figure out how it ends? Not because you're not going to get there, but because it just won't exist. That's what happens when TV shows get cancelled. No TV and no beer make Homer something something. Go crazy? Don't mind if I do. And welcome back to the heart of the stories we tell, where today we're going to do another sensational 7. Why a 7 countdown? Because I have a little more energy than those that do top 5 countdowns, and a little less than those that do top 10s. Either way, I just like the number 7. So, without further ado, today we are going to talk about the top 7 shows canceled before their time. Lots of shows get canceled, even good ones, some well before their time, but these are ones that specifically stuck in my head long enough and hard enough to make me sit there and go, ooh, I want to know. Starting this off with a bang, we're going to go with number 7, Drive. Drive was on Fox. It was supposed to be an entire Cannonball Run-like show with a cross-country illegal street race, and it made it 4 episodes. And if I remember correctly, episode 4 ended on a cliffhanger, and halfway through its episode. And the last 2 episodes you can kind of get on DVD, but I mean, come on, it was supposed to be an entire season, and that story is just never going to end now. Number 6 would have been higher on my list if it weren't for Kickstarter and a movie made, Veronica Mars. That wasn't just canceled before its time, it was canceled almost by an evil director. I mean, seriously, there is no reason this show should have been canceled. Number 5 had such a bad cliffhanger ending, they even made fun of it on Big Bang Theory. I'm of course talking about Alphas. I don't understand how this show didn't take off even more so than any of the others on this list. We're in the prime time of superheroes, and I still think that the best bet would be original superheroes, not Marvel, DC, Image, Top Cow, any of those. Just create a whole new comic book style universe made specifically for TV and movies, and Alphas could have been it. But then on to number 4, and number 4 takes us out of those and into a comedy, one that's a little sad considering. The Crazy Ones. I can't say enough about how good this was, how funny it was, and how creative it was. And it was also Robin Williams' last TV show. Everyone go out and buy a copy of the DVDs, if for no other reason than to get one last good look at what a true master comedian can do. Number 3 is one I'm not going to say much about, because anyone who's watching this already has a strong opinion of it. I'm just going to go with Firefly. And then on to number 2. Number 2 was my first real experience with this, and one from when I was a kid. Back when UPN had their own network, it was called Nowhere Man. It was a mysterious story about a conspiracy and missing photographs, and in the final episode you find out that there was a whole nother set of photographs, and that he was really mind-wiped, and that there was all this other stuff going on, and I want to know what happened. Nowhere's Man doesn't quite keep me up at night. In fact, I had to actually think about it for a little while to even remember the name. But it was my first experience and still one of the most bittersweet. Honorable mentions was hard this week. There's about 100 shows I could list on here. However, I'm going to start with Legend, the steampunk story starring Richard Dean Anderson, and I have to say, it was fun, it was interesting, and it could have gone on. The next one is the one that really has to be on here, Stargate SGU. I wasn't even that big of a fan of SGU. Of the 3 Stargates, I think it was the weakest. But I have to admit, just when it was getting good, boom, they canceled it. And then there were some cartoons, too. In fact, I think I have to do an entire series just on cartoons that did this. But just offhand, I'm going to say He-Man and the Masters of the Universe and Thundercats and Young Justice were all canceled from Cartoon Network when they were really good shows that were engaging even for adults. But we've waited long enough. The number 1 show. Odyssey 5 literally keeps me up at night sometimes. It's a show that was a giant conspiracy theory, it was a giant time travel mystery, it had all sorts of hooks and barbs and everything, and it ended on a cliffhanger, and it only got 1 season. I loved it. It was on after the original Stargate. It's the story of 5 astronauts who went up in the Odyssey, watched the Earth explode, met an alien. The alien sends them back in time to when one of them is actually a teenager. He sends them far enough back. I think it's 5 years. I'm not 100% sure on that. And they go back and have to unravel the mystery of what destroyed Earth and how it came to be and stop it. Except almost right away they get hit by the fact that What if this alien thing was what caused it? What if they're being used? And what if the conspiracies they're finding are the good guys? They don't know. There are all these things. There's a living sentient computer program on the internet. There are these synthetic humanoids walking around. There's a government conspiracy, and I will never know how this show ends. I have it on DVD and rewatch it every couple of years and still go nuts trying to figure out exactly what the writers were going to do next. All of these shows drove me nuts for one reason or another, but each one of them was slightly different. Starting with Drive that was canceled too soon, going to Veronica Mars that should have caught on and didn't, and the Alphas that I still think is such a great idea, something that should be done. The Crazy Ones, a classic comedian, should have been given a much better chance, and considering what happened, became a tragedy. Firefly, I think we all know, and the top two ones that are mysteries that I will never be able to solve. Nowhere Man and Odyssey 5. Seriously, if someone knows the writers of those, could you drop them a link to this channel? I really want to know. And with that, I want you to just wrap up and think about, as we walk through the heart of the stories we tell, sometimes the most annoying part is that the stories end.